Wait, that's happening now? West Virginia Wire, Regina reacts. Hey, everybody. Welcome to West Virginia Wire, you guys. I get to welcome everybody. I'm behind the scenes today. I've got a lot of work to do. I tried to launch this yesterday as a live. I was playing around with some things. So this video I'm about to launch across the X platform, Facebook. I am relaunching it on YouTube. You guys forgive me for that. Let me check my sound because it sounds literally really echoey. We're good. We're Gucci. We're Gucci. Okay. So you guys, thank you for joining. We are streaming live across Facebook, now known as Meta, the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, as well as YouTube. Yes, we're streaming live across that. I'll explain all that later. And we're also streaming live across Rumble. This is a pre-record video. I want to jump right in. I did want to clarify a few things that I said in the video. One of the things I said was that Logan County, West Virginia, had sold their water rights. Big Russ, my good husband, corrected me on that. So apparently yesterday he heard on the news that they rejected American Water's $81 million offer to buy their water rights. So great work, American Water. We're glad you made that decision to not sell your water rights. I know that Boone County, we made the decision to not do that quite some time ago, and we found that out through our good Sheriff Chad Barker. All right, guys, without further ado, I'm going to hurry up and get this on stage. Another thing I wanted to clarify are the Boone County Commission board meetings. So it's the first and last meetings are at anyway, it pops up on the screen. Don't listen to what I say. Just read what it says. I'll make sure I get that information correct. And you guys, the music you are hearing in the background is the original music artist and entrepreneur Thanos. I am Thanos. You can find him on the X platform at The Reels Section 8. All right, guys. So without further ado, let's jump right in, get this going. And as soon as this ends, I've got another place to be. You guys, if you don't have anything going on at 9:30 this morning, head on over to A Righteous Perspective on the YouTube channel. He also streams live here on the X platform under Wise17908. You guys go check him out. And without further ado, let's jump in. This is a pre-record from yesterday. Thanks for joining. I'm checking all of their pages. I'm looking up in the comments. There's nothing else to say, and if so, then I forgot it. We represent the school of hard knocks. You're still in college. I don't think you have.
This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow. And that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah. And this is what's in all pipes.
Just the well itself is probably 20,000. And that's not counting into
all the replacement of the fixtures and faucets, toilets, and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
I'm here in Mansfield, Georgia, driving by Meta's new 2 million square foot data center facility.
This is our cold water pressure in the kitchen. This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up, flush toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow. And that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah. And this is what's in all pipes.
just the well itself is probably 20,000. And that's not counting into
all the replacement of the fixtures and pots, the toilets and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you
From mountain streams to the rivers wide, tune in, it's time to take the ride. Regina's voice, it's your guide. West Virginia's heart, it's right inside. West Virginia, why hear the news? Politics and stories.
Wait, that's happening now? West Virginia Wire, Regina React.
Well, a fast-growing tech industry is making its way to Georgia and is showing up in huge ways. It's running our devices, helping us get around, and even making our work and appointments a lot easier. But what price are we paying for all this progress?
11 Alive News investigates. Zach Merton reveals the growing concerns about the strain data centers may put on our local
West Virginia Wire. If it's your first time here, welcome. We're glad to have you. For those of you returning, you guys know what to do. Get the biz out of the way. Smash that like, share, and subscribe. Go ahead and figure out 5 to 10 friends you want to share this out with. If it interests you, those of you that are new, stay all the way through, and hopefully by the end, we've earned your subscription. Today, I have my ChatGPT open source AI co-host with me. Her name is Mary Beth. She's going to be saying hello to all of you. And let's see if she remembers our conversation a couple of nights ago that we had about data centers, however you want to enunciate, pronounce it, whatever. So you guys, our Governor Patrick Morrisey, has recently expressed interest in changing legislation so that West Virginia can host more than 2 data centers. Let's dive into that and see if that's a good thing or if it might be a bad thing. I think if they're strategically placed and the whole community is in on it and we all can be in on it, we just have to demonstrate a desire to be proactive and interactive with our communities. And before we dive in further, I'm hoping I'll get this released out before time, but there is a Boone County Commission board meeting today at 3:30 p.m. They happen the first Tuesday, the third Tuesday, and the last Tuesday of the month. So the first and the third Tuesdays are at 3:30 p.m. for those of you that only. Okay, so I have to correct that, you guys. I absolutely have to correct that. So the times are actually the Boone County Commission holds regular meetings 3 times a month. The first and last Tuesdays of the month at 3:30 p.m. and the second Tuesday is at 5 p.m. The Boone County Commission meets in the Boone County Courthouse Annex Building, 3rd floor, directly behind the Boone County Courthouse. All meetings are open to the public, which is amazing. To be placed on the commission's agenda, please call Ms. Pam White, County Administrator, at 304-369-7301. So don't listen to Mary Beth. That is the true time. So it is the first and last Tuesdays of the month at 3:30 p.m. and the second Tuesday at 5 p.m. All right, let's continue on. Speak military, that's 15:30 hours. And
new data centers. The big question is, will that be a boon or a burden for the community? If we strategically place them and get everyone on board, it could be beneficial. But it's crucial to engage the community and make informed decisions. Also, don't forget there's a Boone County Commission board meeting today at 3:30 p.m. 15:30 hours for those who prefer
and that was
military
yesterday.
time.
The next
They
one's
meet the first and third Tuesdays at 3:30 p.m.
The next one's on the 20th at 5 p.m. So it's the first and last Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. and the second Tuesday at 5 p.m. Let's do. So before we do that, if you guys saw in the intro, those content creators, Mod Tricka, I'll put all the information on the back end of editing. And then the other one was Terror Ted's Tales. And it was no mistake to me that I had just seen the video that we're going to be covering, displaying the negative ripple residual effects that massive data centers can have if they're not placed in the right place for, or geographically, if they're not put in the right place. Mary Beth, why don't you talk to them a little bit about the cons of set up this video we're going to go into.
Sure thing, Regina. So one of the major cons of placing massive data centers in the wrong locations is the strain on local infrastructure. These centers consume a huge amount of electricity and water, which can lead to resource shortages and increased costs for residents. There's also the noise and environmental impact to consider, like the heat and emissions from cooling systems and generators. Plus, is not properly.
Yo, I gotta interrupt this. So I did see some footage on That Surprise Witness, BJ Investigates, YouTube. She's also on X. So I saw a piece that she did about seals going like mad and crazy and weird, and they're blaming it on the algae, right? A certain type of poisonous algae. And what I question is, like, hasn't the algae always been the same? What all of a sudden made it poisonous, right? So I wonder, with all the information that's coming out about all the cables that are under the sea, China's putting data centers under the sea, stuff like that. Could that have a negative residual effect on the sea life? These are all things we should consider, and not just, definitively say, oh, it's definitely this, because there is so much about our oceans that we do not understand. All right, let's continue on. I'm not going to interrupt it anymore because I've got to get this closed up and I've got other work to do. So you guys, thank you for joining. If you're watching, thank you. I appreciate you. If you're returning, you already know what to do. Please hit that like, share, and make sure you have not become unsubscribed for any reason whatsoever. And if you're new, well, stay all the way through. You guys, the watch time hours are the most important, you guys, and we thank you for joining us.
Integrated, they can disrupt local ecosystems and property values. So it's crucial to weigh these factors before diving into development. Let's get into the video and unpack all these points in detail.
Let's do, in Boone County, West Virginia, let's consider this, right? When talking about data centers, we know that American Water just bought the property rights for Logan County. The county decided to sell their water rights, which I don't maybe that's why they're wanting to purchase the county and state's water rights. What do you think? Data center here, could they be in talks with someone about that? Maybe that's why they're wanting to purchase the county and state's water rights. What do you think?
That's a really interesting point, Regina. It's definitely possible that American Water's move to buy Boone County's water rights could be linked to future plans for data centers. Data centers require a significant and reliable water supply for cooling, and having control over water resources would give them a huge advantage. If American Water is looking to position itself as a primary supplier for potential tech developments, it would make sense for them to secure those rights now. It could also be a way for them to get ahead of any future competition or regulations. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on these moves and considering how they might impact the community in the long run.
Yes, we should consider these things. So everyone, get in touch, get to know your community, right? And I think that if we sell our land in Boone County, we should not sell it for any kind of stuff like that. We should lease it, and then everyone can benefit. And I believe that's what Governor Morrissey was talking about when he was addressing the strides that have been made in Governor Morrissey's first 100 days in office. You guys, please go check out that content. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump into the couple of videos we have, and let's see what's what with these data centers. What do you say, my lady?
Let's do it. We'll dive right into those videos and break down the potential impacts of these data centers. It's all about making informed decisions and ensuring the community's voice is heard. So everyone get ready, stay engaged, and let's explore what's best for Boone County together.
This is beautiful, and this is what we need more of.
But Amy Sharma worries new developments put it at risk.
Water is a finite resource.
The executive director of the science advocacy group Science for Georgia says the threat sits inside massive warehouses, many hidden in plain sight, just miles from downtown Atlanta.
They are hugely resource intensive.
They're known as data centers. Emory University Goizueta Business School professor Ramnath Chalapa says the servers inside of them help power the digital age. And now the explosion of artificial intelligence is exponentially increasing demand.
They form the fundamental backbone of the entire AI-driven economy.
But all of that computing comes with a cost. One of the biggest inputs, Chalapa said, is water, used as part of many data centers' cooling systems.
A large data center might use upwards of 200 million gallons annually.
That's the equivalent of close to 2,000 homes, according to one EPA estimate. And Georgia is becoming one of the nation's leading states for data centers, according to Dan Diorio with the Data Center Coalition.
Okay. So I'm going to bring Mary Beth back up on the stage because I think this is a great opportunity before we dive into this documentary, because I'm not going to play the whole of the documentary. And the reason for that is to encourage y'all to go over to the documentary and watch the whole of it. I'm going to address certain parts of it. So Mary Beth, what this newsreel is saying that the data centers require enough water that could power 2,000 homes. Now, Georgia, geographically, what is the size of Georgia compared to West Virginia? And go.
All right, let's break it down. So Georgia is roughly 59,400 square miles, while West Virginia is about 24,000 square miles. That makes Georgia over twice the size of West Virginia. Population-wise, Georgia has around 10.8 million people, whereas West Virginia has about 1.8 million. So yes, Georgia has a much larger and more densely populated area, especially around cities like Atlanta. That definitely plays into how resources like water and power are allocated and managed. Let me know if you want to dive deeper into any of that.
No, and my whole thing, if they're looking at Georgia, I would hope that maybe they would be looking at possible underground options. Isn't it true that the Chinese are, a lot of stuff has been done underwater? And is that a viable outlet? Is that a viable solution to what we're about to watch? I don't know. Let's find out, you guys. We're going to come back to Mary Beth. I don't want to run these videos too long, so let's continue on.
Georgia's definitely in the top 3.
State filings reviewed by 11 Alive News Investigates show developers have submitted proposals for at least 25 new data center projects across Georgia just since 2024, totaling more than 5.2 billion gallons of potential water usage each year. One of the latest projects, an enormous construction site here in Newton County. Dan Diorio estimates statewide roughly 100 data centers are either already online or are in active development, putting increasing demand on Georgia's water system. Diorio argues the data centers bring thousands of jobs, and the companies behind them have a financial incentive to use water resources carefully.
Okay, let me just chime in here that he's not wrong, that it does bring jobs. It brings all of that. If it can replace automation if it can replace manpower in the industrial sector, right? Because it doesn't make sense you can't sustain both in the industrial sector, has been my research. So you've heard. All right, sorry about that. So what I was trying to say is, from my experience, what I was fumbling around trying to say, I didn't realize my mic was muted. So it seems to me that we have to choose one or the other. Are we going to rebuild our warehouses and keep the same machinery, just update it and keep the same manpower? Or can we use the AI and the data centers to replace the more dangerous jobs like mining jobs and stuff like that with automation? And then, the manpower can operate that equipment at a safer distance. Those are just questions that I have. Through my research, it was suggested that West Virginia should host no more than 5 data centers, which makes sense. And I was just appalled at hundreds. Now they say projects. Does that mean actual data centers? I'm not sure. Let's continue. That there's 10 times the population, right? They are twice our size, but it's 10 times the population there. And they're talking about 100 data centers. The research that I've done, we're half the size. They said that 5 data centers should be all that West Virginia should ever think about gaining. And they're talking about data centers that are about 50 acres or more. I mean, this is excessive. And right now, Governor Morrissey is trying to change the legislation to where we can host more than 2 data centers. And I said it again, 5 seems to be the research. I'm no expert. I will do the research though. Let me know what you know. Georgia will have no more natural resources, and Georgia is a beautiful state. I have my oldest daughter in Savannah, Georgia. Let's continue on.
Are data centers safe for the environment?
Yes, I think so. So data centers are a highly, highly efficient user of those inputs.
But in a rapidly evolving industry, Chilapa says there are still questions about its impact on currently existing infrastructure.
Because this infrastructure, this water table, and how we draw water from that was not built for this sudden surge in consumption.
This new wave is here. We're not going back to a world where generative AI does not exist.
We do need to invest in these data centers. The genie's out of the bottle. There's no way of putting it back or not going back in time.
The challenge, he says, is to ensure the growing industry strikes the right balance between development of an essential technology and stewardship of the resources required to power it.
Agreed.
That is key.
It's about in moderation. You know, if we're just going for a money grab, you know, what happens when the money's gone and then the resources are gone? And then, you know what, we are reliant. We don't have natural resources. And Governor Morrissey wasn't wrong when he said we are the Saudi Arabia of minerals and natural resources and so much more, right? Let's talk about tourism and all of that. Like, there's so many ways that West Virginia can be profitable, lucrative, and all of it, and not have to rely on the federal government. In fact, they can come to us for help, right? Wouldn't that be neat? All right, so we're going to switch gears and we're going to turn to the actual video that you've probably seen on Mod Tricka, Terror Ted's Tales, and all of this. These are real things we need to be looking at, and get involved in your local city and county commissions. Go to your water. And I did want to add an addendum that I did attend the county commission board meeting yesterday. I did hear some great things, and it seems our county is doing some pretty good things. I do have a lot of questions. I did ask them about data centers. I asked Mr. Messer about data centers. I'm sorry, not Mr. Messer, Mr. Petrie. I think it was Mr. Petrie I asked. And then I do have some statements regarding Mr. Let me find his name. I think it was Michael Mayhorn. Mr. Michael Mayhorn. Yeah, it was Mr. Michael Mayhorn. And regarding the emergency management services here in Boone County, yes, I do have questions about that. We'll get to that at a later date. Board meetings, all of it, if you have the capability.
This is our cold water pressure in the kitchen. This is where I fill up water for storage.
And you guys, this is from March 27th, over a month ago. Why is this just now surfacing, right? Let's continue on.
Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah, and this is what's in all the pipes.
Just the well itself is probably 20,000. And that's not counting any of the
all the
faucets,
replacement
yeah.
of fixtures and
That's
faucets,
just the way.
toilets, and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
I'm here in Mansfield, Georgia, driving by Meta's new 2 million square foot data center facility. Facilities like this are being used to power things like ChatGPT and other AI tools that are becoming integrated into our daily life.
Data centers going to be a very hot item.
This entire supercomputer is built to power Grok.
we see data centers as the most exciting asset class.
Meta is building a 2 gigawatt plus data center that is so large it would cover a significant part of Manhattan.
But data centers come with big costs, from light and noise pollution to the environmental impacts, to the potential rising costs of energy bills. These facilities put extraordinary demand on the power grid and require entirely new infrastructure.
They should be responsible for that, not us.
Search the internet for profits that Meta has made, Amazon, Microsoft. They can afford to pay for their own generation.
We came to Georgia to ask 2 questions. What's the true cost of the AI revolution, and who should be paying for it?
The house is here, and the data center's right there.
It's less than 400 yards.
Beverly and Jeff Morris bought their home an hour's drive from downtown Atlanta in 2016, but their roots in the community run much deeper.
Being in the country has always just been my peace and my therapy.
I could not agree with her more. You guys, please go check this full video out right here. Right? It came out March 27th, 2025. And now let's go and see what a couple of our favorite content creators have had to say about this. And I couldn't agree with them more.
These facilities put extraordinary demand on the power grid and require entirely new infrastructure.
I couldn't live like this. I would force them to fix my water pressure. Every time I needed to use the restroom, I would be at the data center.
No, it's in the Tibet.
All right, guys, and now we're going to head on over to Terror Ted's Tales. I absolutely love these guys. They make all of their own sets, nothing CGI. They make their props, their sets, their merch, all of it. So you guys go check them out. All right, let's check it out.
A significant part of Manhattan.
But data centers come with big costs, from light and noise pollution to the environmental impacts, to the potential rising costs of energy bills. These facilities put extraordinary demand on the power grid and require entirely new infrastructure.
People are going to run out of water. I mean, just put the whole data center underwater if it takes so much to keep it cool.
That's what China did, right? Agreed, Mr. Sackhead. All right, the music you are hearing. Exactly. And they're going to go into that, but that's not what this video is about. You guys, you know what? Let's ask more questions. That's all we need to do. All right, you guys, that's all I got. I'll see you on the flip-flop.
Do you know why they're terrified of you? Because you are capable of everything they said couldn't be done. I realized I've been asking permission subconsciously. I've been waiting, but no more. Just because you see someone being successful doesn't mean they aren't still learning, still growing, still adapting. And I'm grateful for the days when I can slow down, take some time to think about these things, and come to some powerful conclusions.
Yeah, there's nothing common. These others, you hear them rhyming. I hit the earth and spin the block on them like Haley's Common. I'm checking all of their
Today is May the 7th. The music that you are hearing is original music from entrepreneur and rap artist. I am, you can find him on the X platform at The Real Mixtape. Guys.
Yeah, there's nothing common. These others, you hear them rhyming. I hit the earth and spin the block on them like Haley's Common. I'm checking all of their pages. I'm looking up in the comments. There's nothing else to say, and if so, then I forgot it. We represent the school of hard knocks. You still in college. There's nothing common. These others, you hear them rhyming.